Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very latest CADS podcast. This is episode number 2 of the latest season, and welcome back, everybody. I've got a bumper group of men with me this evening. We're going to start with Marcel, first one of the season. How you doing?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm doing fine. Feeling great after yesterday's performance. I had it down for a loss, but there we go.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I wrote in the forum, I expect this to be a tight game. I don't expect us to win. It wasn't exactly open and free-flowing, but we won it and we deserve to as well. Ashley, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Just avoiding everything going on in DC, which is bonkers. But just trying to live my little life in LA.
Okay. Southern California, where the sun always shines. Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm all good. Nice to be back, and hope all you guys are doing well. It's always the world's always better when Spurs win. It doesn't really bother me all the shenanigans that's gone on before. As long as we win, it always feels better. So I'm glad to be back.
Good point.
It always feels better after we play Manchester City because we always seem to do well against them. Austin, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm in a particularly good humour after yesterday. Always am after a win, especially a win against City.
Absolutely.
All right. And finally, last but not least,
rarity.
we got David with us as well. Hey, David, how you doing?
Hey there, everybody. I'm still buzzing after yesterday. It was absolutely fantastic. If you can do that after 2 months, what's it going to be like after 2 years?
Don't say that.
I think we were saying something similar under the previous manager, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right,
that's where I was going with it.
Yeah. All right, so I don't think there's really any avoiding talking about it. Let's talk Manchester City. What a game! As I said, I didn't think we were going to win this one. Just looking at their squad, and I think they've got an extremely good and capable squad. I think they've got probably one of the best managers in the world. Probably number 2 manager in the world right now behind Luis Enrique, and all the money that they want to spend, and also they seem to have the ability to just delay 115 charges as long as they like. So how on earth, after 2 months of being in charge, do we manage to not just hold but outclass and then go on to beat the potentially the best team in the country, or at least the second best team in the country? It was great. I mean, life is looking rosy, right?
Yeah.
Not to forget that we drew with PSG, actually.
Yeah.
Pep said something about, he'd said it previously about it'll be very soon when Frank will be hired by a top European team, not by us. And he says it's top manager, and let's face it, he is.
Yeah, I saw the BBC were running an article today, obviously inspired by your comments last week, Ashley, where it was like, is Thomas Frank the best signing that Tottenham have made this summer? So you can send them a bill for that, I think.
Exactly.
David, what were you going to say?
It is early, but and of course the other guy was undefeated after 10 games, so there could be all sorts of intangible factors that come into play. Let's hope they don't, but they may.
They may. David?
Yeah, so I was just going to be a damp squid and say, okay, it's absolutely fantastic. It's only 2 matches. Let's not get carried away yet. But those first matches are unbelievably promising. He's got them organised, defensively sound. And I just think one thing we're talking a lot about Frank, but I think he's put in place a structure of coaches behind there, and I think that is really paying off as well. Like, it's not just Frank, he's surrounded himself by good people that know what they're doing, and I'm loving it, absolutely loving it.
Yeah, I do like the structure that he's brought in. He was paying quite a lot of praise to Matty Wells, who has been with us for a little while. I think he was brought in when Ryan Mason did his last stint as interim manager, and he stayed with us ever since. And I mean, he's the winger of a fairly well-known. He's the grandson of a fairly well-known Spurs winger. So he's not bad. He's got some Spurs heritage within him, and He's very, very highly rated within the game, and you can kind of see why if this is what he's being able to put out when you look at the side and just how comfortable we were at times yesterday.
It was incredible. Like, I think it was it 55 minutes of Fraudiola started putting his subs on, and I was thinking, okay, so this is going to be like PSG, because in the PSG match it was the subs that really was the twist. Our subs came on and didn't really perform at the level we needed them to, and PSG subs came on, and I think you corrected me. They both scored, or two of them scored.
Yeah, they both scored.
When the sub started yesterday, I thought, here we go. But in fact, we looked more comfortable through the last parts of the match. More comfortable. It was. I didn't feel like we were in very much danger for most of the match. Absolutely brilliant.
I thought the subs that he made were very good. I think they were different to when we played PSG. We seemed to go a little bit more defensive and invite the pressure onto us when we played PSG. But this time we brought on Odobert and got the ball out to him instead of getting it to CADS, which I thought worked actually pretty well. Austin, you said you were thoroughly enjoying this game. Tell me more.
I didn't
Don't choke yourself. It was that good. He can't breathe, everybody.
I didn't get to see the game until 5 minutes before half time. And the first thing I remember seeing by the time I logged on and got my my Fire Stick to work was the Palhinha goal. And I saw that we were 1-0 up already. And I was actually, well, not surprised. I had a feeling we would do well. I just think that Frank has got an organisation, and he seems to be able to implement that. He combines his setup play with constant ongoing coaching from the sidelines. He's forever watching things and instructing players and sending messages to people. I am so impressed with him. And the second half, we're 2-0 up, and I'm 60 years a Spurs fan, and so my natural inclination is to think, oh fuck, 4-2 to City. Yeah, we're gonna roll over and get. But I never felt during the second half that we were going to concede, apart from that bad pass from Vicario to Mickey van der Ven.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I thought we looked solid the whole game. I just thought we was. And Palhinha, I posted on CADS today. Yeah, I was slightly sort of underwhelmed when he signed him because I wasn't really aware of him. But what a performance yesterday. His blocks, his tackles, his passing, his recoveries. He was terrific, as was Bentancur and Sarr. I mean, I remember saying about 2 years ago that I thought Sarr reminded me of Vieira. He still does, and more so because the legs on the guy are absolutely incredible. And that's not to mention the other players in the team, because I thought Romero and Van der Ven were great. Jed Spence is excellent. Porro's learned to defend in the last 12 months, and he looks really, really solid. And then as for the attack, CADS, Richarlison putting himself about. Brennan Johnson scores really good goals. I know he gets a lot of stick for disappearing from games, but he does a defensive shift, but he does score good goals. And when he gets the ball, you think it's going in the net. And so, yes, I was quite happy about yesterday. Ish.
Just a little bit. Marcel, your thoughts?
What I think I'm seeing is a team of footballers, professionals, who basically know how to play their game. Under the previous regime, they seemed stifled and not being able to do what they do best because they had to fit into certain boxes. And Ange obviously has a system which works at some places, but it seems to me it takes a while for a team to actually learn all that and learn to kind of restrict what they're doing and stick to his way of doing things. And I saw yesterday, especially, a team that was unshackled from all that. And I believe that the new regime are coaching players who know how to do their job and saying, we want you to do your job, but here's how it's all going to link together. Go and do it. Whereas before it's, yeah, you know how to do it, forget that bit, do this. I just get that feeling. I have absolutely no proof for any of this.
But I think if we're going to compare to if we're going to compare to under the first days of the last manager, the first 10 games were brilliant, and it almost seemed like the shackles had been taken off after Antonio Conte, where they had to play to this strict, rigid system where it was all about, don't make a mistake, don't take any chances, but try and make something happen by being a genius, which is exactly how we got away with it with Kane and with Sonny. And then suddenly we had to, well, we didn't have to, but the team was given an opportunity to play a different way, and they absolutely took it. But I think what's happened is that the current team has taken that. They've taken that togetherness, that bond that they had and built under the previous manager, and it's been instilled with a little bit more defensive solidity, a little bit more calm, a little bit more measure. And I think it's just working out so well, because it got to a point where you're watching that game, and yes, they had some good chances. Marmoush had a very, very good chance early on. Vicario made some excellent saves, and you're thinking, oh God, if this goes wrong, it could be bad. But we weathered the first 15, 20 minutes, and then suddenly we got into the game and made the game our own. And once we were ahead, you didn't really see us. We didn't really fear that we were gonna mess it up. I mean, obviously it's Spurs. We kind of expect that to happen anyway, because it doesn't matter what happens. We always know it can go wrong. But there was still that sense of this team is so much more solid. This team is just looking happier in possession.
Can I just chip in on that? Can I just chip in on that? I just want to say that we keep saying that it's about Thomas Frank's defensive organisation, but it's not really only defensive. It's organisation, like in every sense of the word. But I feel like we're organised going forwards. Like when we're in possession, we're progressing the ball and we're doing something with it. Passes are going to the right areas. There's a system not only defensively but also offensively, and I think that's quite a big deal, and it's a big difference.
Yeah. You got something for us?
You were saying,
Marcel, I will come to you. Marcel, I will come to you. But you put your hand up. What you got for us?
Thanks. Yeah, look, I think it's a combination of things. The first thing is he's obviously very meticulous and planned very well, and it's communicated very well to the players. So it's like everybody knows their roles for specific things. The second thing is I think you're seeing the impact of two ready-made Premier League players of good quality, and what that adds to the squad, and comes back to why we still need to strengthen, because you can see the effect from just two players, especially Palhinha, because it seems like by having him there, you're solidifying the defense, you're giving them more confidence, but you're also allowing Bentancur and Sarr to play their game that they're suited to. And I think that's like a big thing. The difficulty will be is when we're playing many games a week and you don't have a Palhinha, and players have to go back to doing their multiple roles, maybe that they're not suited to. So I think that's it for now. A combination of few things and playing one game a week. The real test will come when we're playing 3 games a week against high quality opposition.
Yeah, we've got the Champions League draw coming up Thursday evening, so we'll see what high quality opposition, or hopefully low quality Champions League strugglers, will get placed up against. But yeah, we'll see. Marcel.
Yeah, just coming back to what you were saying about under the previous regime when we won our first 10 games or whatever, we got found out, and there was no answer to it. And I think that's why it suddenly all fell apart after that. And then they stopped believing in the system, but they were forced to carry on playing in that system. Even when we were crying out for substitutions, often they didn't happen. And I feel now that we've got a manager now who can react. He recognises when a player is not being effective. At the end, he changed it. He brought on Danso to make a five at the back, and so on. Whereas that would not have happened under the previous regime. It would have been, no, this is the system, and we're going to stick to it. And I think that's what I kind of mean by shackles being taken off.
Yeah, I think I've kind of got this mental thing in my head of just trying to look forward and see where we are with this current manager and not keep going back to the last guy, because I will defend him as much as I can because I thought he was great. But if you want to talk about the Chelsea game, that Chelsea game where everything started to fall apart, that's where we lost both Van der Ven and Romero. And if you look at the stats, and trust me, I've looked at the stats, if those two are playing, we've got a much better chance of winning. We've got an average of 2 points per game or something like that when those two start. This season, it's even better because we either win or draw. We don't lose. So it's fantastic. But looking forward with this current manager, I think there are still some holes in the squad. Maybe not in the first 11 because we're looking pretty good. I'd like to see a little bit more magic in the side. But to get that, I think you've kind of got to take some goals out by potentially dropping someone like Brennan Johnson, because that is the one area you look at and go, there's not so much creativity coming from there. If we could find another Kudus, but to play on the left, that would be fantastic. But these players don't come along very often. Just remember, West Ham fans told us that Kudus was unreliable and inconsistent and that, you know, he wouldn't do a lot of defending. This guy goes both directions. He attacks in a brilliant way, and he's been one of our most consistent players. And, you know, we can give the ball to him, rely on him to do something. And he also works back, and he's been partially responsible for Pedro Porro looking quite so good because he gives him so much cover.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot, and it is going to come back to the squad. But I just want to touch on something that Marcel said and why I'm a little bit more confident with Frank, is that it's hard to get found out when you have 6, 7 different game plans and formations. I do worry that when we don't have a full week to train a new formation, that could be an issue. But, you know, until then, and that's why you need a good squad, because you obviously, you know, you're playing a big midweek game and you've got a team coming up in the weekend. The other guys are training with Wells and Cochrane on the weekend's plans. When they're coming in, so they get a head start. So squad is important. Maybe this is your point regarding Kudus, is that this is why we're looking at Savinho and going all out for it, because maybe he's seen the same thing. I would like another 6, to be honest, because I see the difference that Palhinha makes, and if we take him out or he's injured, I could see that having a big impact in our season. I think the 10 role is changing as much as we would like it. He seems to be using the Jurgen Klopp philosophy. Press them so much that you really don't need a 10 because you're turning over the ball in transition in the last third. That would be my initial thoughts to both your points. Thanks.
Thomas Frank has said that he's training the players to be tactically flexible. So he's obviously not training them in just one way of playing. It's having the ability to change shape even mid-game, I guess, like he did in this one, you know, where he brought on Danso and everything shifted around a little bit. But certainly Palhinha has really made a difference. And I don't know whether he's going to be playing every game or even just the games where we expect him to play, because I get the feeling a lot of people expected us to go 3 at the back with wing backs yesterday. I mean, I certainly did. And to see us play 4 at the back and then 3 across midfield, I was like, oh, okay, this is probably a card trick that I was expecting to come later in the season, but he's done it right now.
He's very bold, isn't he? He's very
bold.
Yeah, you know, like
I do like it.
PSG was bold. Burnley putting the youngsters in was very bold. Not going 3 or 5 at the back was really bold yesterday. I thought that was, you know, I'm pretty impressed by it. He takes, I suppose he doesn't consider it a risk, but it looked, you know, I think we all, when we saw the youngsters last week, kind of went, has he disrespected Burnley? Are we going to pay for it? Yesterday, when we didn't go 5 at the back, it was like, oh, okay, interesting. I was less skeptical than I was for the Burnley selection, but still, you know, but he backs the tactics and the team he selects, and so far he's been right. You know, so just out of interest, you know, because we talk a lot about a 10. Pretend Maddison suddenly gets, I don't know, touched by the hand of God overnight, and he's fit tomorrow. Who would you drop for him to put him back in the team? Out of that team that played yesterday, who would you drop?
Well, he wasn't starting he wasn't starting all the games last season either. So he may not go, if he was healthy, going right back into the team. He was sitting on the bench, So I don't know if I would, because the 10 is evolving. And Sarr yesterday, we're pressing with 4 guys. Sarr is there. He's involved in both goals. What was Palhinha doing up in the penalty box to get his goal? He's also pressing forward. So maybe it sort of changes. And didn't somebody make a great point about when we're pressing so high and turning over the ball, that becomes a creative route. Can I just mention, because it's been on my mind quite a bit, an intangible. Everyone's making great points here. It's fantastic. They should just have us added to the Spurs coaching crew. Have us all. But one of the intangibles is, and I truly hope that Frank is onto this, is that 10th game or the 11th game last year when the injuries started happening. How do we avoid those injuries? Will this new coaching help us, but we're not going to run them into the ground? Will the hammy issues not turn up? Certainly hope so. Why is Richie still playing? Because he played 2 or 3 games, then he'd be out. Palhinha had some injury problems last season. Is there something going on? Is our medical staff better? Let's hope. I think it's a big intangible, since our squad is not as deep as the teams above us. Let's hope that we find a way to keep them healthy, which I think would be very important, no matter what players we have there. How do we keep them healthy?
I think we're not playing as high a line as we were last season. I mean, I know that under Brentford, Thomas Frank was playing the second highest line in the league or something, sometimes higher than Angie's. But going back to David's question, who would Madders step in for? I think he would play. If a fully fit and in form Madders would play that game. And I think he would be in for Bentancur, and you'd see Sarr drop a little bit deeper. Anybody
I
else
think he
got
would
thoughts
be
on that?
left. I think he'd be left. I think that's why we were looking at Eze. I think we're gonna try and push because Spence is a one-man wrecking machine on the left.
Yeah.
And I think he would play left and come in to create when he has to. And I think that's a little bit behind the thinking of Savinho. Come in on his right foot from the left and create and shoot and everything that Madders would do. That's where I would think he would fit in. But it's so hard, because no matter what you think about Johnson's overall play, how do you drop a player that just doesn't stop scoring? Johnson again, ole ole.
Yeah. Well, there you go, everybody. You've heard it first. According to Johnson is the one that deserves to get benched for Maddison. All right, moving back to Ash's point on fitness and injuries. I don't think we'll see the same level of injuries, because I don't think we're going to be putting the same stress on the players' bodies, because we're playing a little bit deeper. Looking at the way we played yesterday, the defensive line was deeper, but they also had permission to step out. The number of times that Romero stepped out and clattered Haaland correctly and rightly so, and in a very fair and positive manner, but he did clatter him. It was impressive, because he stepped in and he got to play on his front foot, which is the way he likes to do it. But there wasn't quite so many times where we had to go, Van der Ven's going to have to use his pace to cover. And we get to see, I think, more of the footballer that Van der Ven is, because he's still got that ability. He's not just a pace merchant.
The thing I noticed, and I've noticed in the 3 games, Paris, Burnley and City, last year in transition, we lost the ball. We'd be passing out from the back, and we'd be passing to players with their back to the play, and someone would intercept the ball. We haven't done that this year. We've not lost possession, and last year we lost possession, and that put us under constant pressure in every single game we played. But we haven't done that this year.
Oz, why is that?
I think we've been prepared to go longer.
I I'm saying it's Palhinha.
I don't think it's just Palhinha, but I think it's tactical as well. I was at matches last season where we, as Austin was just saying, you get the turnover on the edge of their penalty area.
I'm Austin, by the way, David.
We lose possession, and then you look back down the pitch, and there is nobody in Tottenham's midfield. There is nobody, and there's just this massive boulevard that's open for the opposition to go through. That has stopped this season. That stopped because we're organised. And I think perhaps it is because we're going longer some of the time. It means we don't, get caught out of position so much trying to trickle the ball up to the penalty area. But it's just players know where they're supposed to be.
I think the other thing is, in a game like this, City did press, City pushed up, City gave us space to get behind them. There are going to be games coming up very soon. We've got Wolves, we've got Leeds. Those sides are not going to be pushing up and letting us just go over the top of them effectively. I mean, the first goal was a big ball punted through, which Sarr nodded on, and then Richarlison put a delicious ball. It was a delicious ball for Brennan Johnson, but it was not an easy finish.
It was an incredible finish.
It was a really, really good, it's a high quality, excellent finish. It was not easy at all. And people can say what they like about him, but that guy is an elite level finisher.
Yeah.
He is as good as it gets, I think, in the Premier League right now.
Yeah.
I'd rather have him one-on-one than Haaland, for instance.
He puts in a decent shift defensively. I mean, not that Spence needs it, but I think he gives Spence some good support on the left.
Yes, Dave,
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Dave, because other people have watched him and you can see him. He's supporting. He's coming back. He's tracking back. He does do things. I think the thing is, he can't dribble by guys. Well, he does all the other things really well,
So two posts I've seen talking about our players that I'd like to very quickly talk about. First one, Jed Spence hasn't been dribbled past in 3 games this season. He's had quality players in his pocket and nobody's got past him. The second one, which I think is probably my favourite of the week, David put this one up. They say water covers 70% of the earth. Pat Sarr covers the rest.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, was that a tweet you saw, David?
It was Noe sent it to me. I think I don't have Twitter, so Noe still has Twitter, so he sends me stuff sometimes.
Nice.
Living vicariously.
Yeah, no, that was good. Okay, let's talk about Palhinha. First of all, let's talk about his goal. First point I'd like to make is after he scored that goal, that ball couldn't be used again, right? Because he must have smacked the lever off it. He hit it so hard, it could not have been usable afterwards.
He smashed it.
I think Richarlison deserves the credit for that goal as well, because Richarlison's awareness, he stepped back to let Palhinha hit that ball, and because Richarlison had picked the ball up, beat the goalkeeper, lost it, but then he saw Palhinha come in and he stepped back to give Palhinha the space to hit that ball. That was actually quite impressive, because normally strikers are greedy and he would have tried to do it himself, but he didn't. He was aware.
I'm going to pick you up on that. He did actually he took a shot and Trafford got down and blocked it, and that's when it fell to Palhinha.
No, he didn't.
But it was
he didn't. He was
off rather than trying to go for the ball himself.
Yeah, he was trying to move the ball to a shooting position, and Palhinha got a hand to it and pushed it away from him. He wasn't a shot.
Okay.
And I think it's worth pointing out that is the 5th goal that he's been involved with in the league. Because for Johnson's goal against Burnley, it was his hold-up play and nuisance factor that allowed Sarr to make that pass through to Johnson. And yesterday, Sarr obviously Sarr and Palhinha deserve massively the lion's share of the credit. But as Austin said, he was very, very quickly onto that loose ball. And he didn't take a stupid shot straight into the keeper. He tried to make the space, and he had the awareness to let Palhinha take it on. So, I mean, Richie is a whole other story, isn't it? But he's scored 2, assisted 1, and been involved with 2 others. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
he's having his best season at Tottenham, as far as I'm concerned, and I think potentially his best Premier League season at any point.
What's the change in him? What's changed?
He's fit.
No,
preseason,
I tell you what the change is.
preseason.
Thomas Frank likes him, and he needs to be loved. And I
Yeah.
think he feels it under Thomas Frank.
Completely agree, Austin. I think so much of it is mental with Richie. I think
Yeah.
for all his shithousery and all that, he's I think he's a bit of a sensitive soul, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think having two seasons being injured on and off, never being able to get going, apparently some problems in his entourage and subsequent mental health difficulties. This is the first time he's had a full pre-season. He's got a manager that showed he believes in him, and he believes in himself. I think he's in a good place now, and I just hope he can stay injury free. I'm just it'll break my heart if he gets injured again, because I love Richarlison, absolutely love him.
I agree.
Can I just point out one little thing? What went through my head was, as Palhinha was running in, Richarlison let him have the ball. I think there might have been a little exchange in Portuguese at the last minute there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what Portuguese is for get out the fucking way.
Yeah.
I think it's been
It's actually very different, Marcel. When I worked in Brazil, when the Brazilian guys were talking to customers in Portuguese, they all spoke in English. Because there was such change in their Portuguese that they needed actually to find a medium. So maybe some words are still common, like get the F out of the way. But yeah, maybe.
I wonder what the dominant language at Spurs is right now, because we've got three players.
The Spanish
we
people.
got some Spanish. We got Rodrigo.
The Portuguese players. The Spanish people hang out with the Portuguese players. So there must be some common ground there. Really, Palhinha is with Richie, and he's with Romero, and he's with Porro, and they're all hanging out. They're speaking some common language.
Yeah.
Well, of course, he and Porro are teammates when they were at Sporting together, and apparently good friends. So.
But my understanding is that Portuguese and Spanish understand each other, which is really weird, because whenever I try and read Portuguese, I can't understand a word of it. Where I can sort of I can fiddle around with Spanish and kind of make some sense of it, but Portuguese.
Look, that's enough of your personal life, okay? We don't need to go about it.
I'm not fiddling around with Portuguese. I'm fiddling around with the Portuguese language. No, but
okay. Going by just from yesterday's game, was there anyone that had even an average game? Because I can't think of anyone. I thought Bentancur had his best game since before the Matty Cash incident. Yeah. I thought Palhinha, who apparently is still not even fit, was just imperious. Although I did think his best pass was when he didn't touch the ball and just left it for Sarr to run through onto. That was the best thing he did in terms of possession of the ball. Jed Spence was great. He was excellent. Again, just kept the opposition in his pocket and wasn't fazed by whoever they put on against him. Pedro Porro was great, whipping the ball in from deep, got forward into attacking areas as well. It looked like he could score at one point, was taking attacking free kicks. Pat Maddison. Is there anyone who struggled in that game at all?
I think I'll tell you one thing. I think Pedro Porro again showed, I think he's got great character. He's got a really big heart. So I think he was the player that in the first 20 minutes that they were attacking, they had obviously identified our right back as being, not up to it defensively. And he had a lot on his plate those first 20 minutes. A lot was coming down his side. And he did struggle a little bit against, I can't remember the name of the City player. Too bad. He struggled to begin with, but he got the measure of him. He stuck at it, and I think from around about 20 minutes onwards, he was pretty much in control. So the only one that struggled for me was Pedro Porro, and I just think kudos to him for sticking with it and really turning around and having a great game. And his attacking play is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and when the subs came on, they were pretty good. I don't think Solanke offered the same kind of damage or the same kind of danger that Richarlison did, but he still worked hard, which is what he's always done for us. He's not always been a goal threat, so to speak, but he's always worked his ass off. And I think we're just going to see more of that. I hope we're going to see more goals from him. I hope that we're going to see, a bit of a renaissance from him, because Thomas Frank does have a habit of making goal scorers in his sides, and I'd love to see it be Solanke. But at the moment, it looks like Richarlison has got that spot as his own right now.
Yeah, I thought Solanke was better when he came on than he's been in the other games. He's still, as you say, he doesn't have the same nuisance value as Richarlison. But
He's still not 100% fit, of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
he's
he's
still
still
not
not
fully-
fully back.
He's not match fit. That's the problem. You've
Mm.
got to give him minutes. You've got to give him minutes to get that up. And get the
Yeah.
minutes up.
Agree totally.
Odobert did well, I thought, when he came on. He could have had a goal.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And maybe
Very
he's
interesting player.
yeah. And does that mean that he's jumped ahead of Maddison in that?
Yeah, I think so.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
In my
Yeah,
head,
I think he's
he
more of
is.
a natural fit. I think he's more of a natural fit for that position. Maddison still looks a little bit shoehorned in there, and I still think Maddison will be a very good player, but I also think he's going to be a striker. So, he just needs to get in. First of all, he's not been in the Premier League as long as Odobert, who played a full season for Burnley, has been, starting his second season with us now. And although his first season was very disrupted by injury, he knows what to expect from the Premier League. Whereas Maddison came in for the second half of last season, very, very late in January as well. So didn't even get a full half of the season. And I think he's still probably adapting to the demands of the league, which, as we all know, is not an easy league. It's not typical play.
Yeah, I think he's got good mentality, Maddison. I think he'll become a good one, but he's still a little bit green at the moment. Still got to come in. But I've got high hopes for him. He certainly has the right attitude, I think.
Can I just say something? We've had
go for
no individual criticisms of players throughout the entire squad today. I mean, every single player that played yesterday did a job and did their job well.
Yeah.
And that is a rarity, because usually there's someone that's going to come under stick. Usually there's someone that's done something that's really bad or not good enough, I should say. But yesterday, I can't think of any player who did something that I didn't think, okay, they were all good.
Yeah, front to back, that was a great performance.
But I think we can say that about every single starting 11 of the season so far.
Yes.
It's only the subs. When the subs have come on, you go, oh, okay, it's not quite to that level that, the players that they replaced. But when the starting players, when we just look at those guys, they all did extremely well.
Yeah.
I don't see we've got any complaints about any of the starting 11 from any of the 3 matches we've seen so far. If we're going to talk negative, and I think perhaps we should, have a little bit of a moan, the officials yesterday were awful, weren't they?
Yeah, they were
well, I
pretty bad.
thought they got the goalkeeper's Schumacher challenge wrong. I thought that should have been a red card, to be honest, or could have been a red card.
One handball that he
VAR
made.
not allowed to look at that. Because
Sorry?
it was a penalty. Was VAR not allowed to look at it because it wasn't a penalty incident?
I don't.
They would have been allowed to look at it because it would have been a potential red card incident, but they decided that it was normal contact, and that was not normal contact. He went into him with his knee up into Kudus, and also handballed it. So I didn't think that was good. He should have been off. But also there was the incident with Pedro Porro, which VAR can't look at because it wasn't a penalty incident. But I don't know how the ref missed that. It, took him out just on the edge of the box. Is he not looking? I really was not impressed by the referee. He seemed to let an awful lot go for City, and then pulled us up for things, and also gave Romero a yellow card, which
absolutely
was not a yellow card.
That was ridiculous.
Ridiculous red card.
But his incompetence did help us, because I thought they could have had a penalty for Van der Ven tripping someone in the penalty area. I can't remember who. That looked a bit like a penalty to me.
He stepped on his foot. It was accidental, but he did step on his foot.
He definitely stepped on his foot. Yeah. So it kind of it was bad, but we got away with it as well.
Not biased.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just thought it was poor. I thought it was a really poor performance. And you kind of expect it from when you go away to a club with a decent loud following. There is always going to be a little bit of bias towards the home side. There shouldn't be, but there is. So what can you do? But that's my only complaint from the game. I thought the rest of it was fantastic. I thought we managed the situation so well. We managed the game so well. There wasn't a single bad player who you can look at and go, why were they on the pitch? Because overall, it's just so positive.
So what do we need to do between now and the end of the transfer window? What do we need?
That's the big question, isn't it?
I think we
We've got
need
1 week left. 1 week left of the
I
transfer
think we need
window.
a fullback. You know, I think we've got 3 top fullbacks. I think we could do with a 4th.
Dave,
I
didn't
think
you
we've got 3 top fullbacks and Ben Davis.
Dave,
Yeah.
didn't you say we
Yeah.
need a number 6? No, we need a number 6 and a fullback?
I think we need a fullback. I think I'm assuming that Bisuma's time is done with us, so that he won't be the backup number 6, and I'm kind of fine with that. So it would be nice if we could get Bisuma out and somebody in, and potentially another like 8 type player. I'm not sure whether we need. So I'm surprised at the Savinha thing. I'm not totally sure that we need Savinha, but if Thomas Frank wants him, then I'm not going to say anything. But I would prefer solidifying like the midfield and the fullbacks.
I can see why he'd want Savinho, because Savinho does have that directness, that pace that he likes in his wingers. But I also think Odobert has that, and I think if we could see more of Odobert, that could be very, very good. But for me, I mean, we talked about this so long. Number 6, left back, or somebody that can play left back or left centre back. I mean, Joel Hato, who's gone to Chelsea, would have been like the perfect option for us.
I think you're right. I think the link that excites me the most is the guy from Como, Nico Paz.
Yeah,
he's a bit very creative. He reminds me of Musa, but on the ball, can't get it off him, sort of thing. So I would see how that would be somebody to reinforce one of the midfield spots. But yeah, I like us to get a number 6 and one more creative player at the least.
Yeah.
That would do me.
The issue with Paz is he's got a decent length of contract left. He's not pushing for a move, and Como do not need the money because they've got billionaire owners. So unless it's a ridiculous amount of money.
And Real Madrid have a buyback on him.
Yeah,
Real Madrid have a buyback on him, but they've got so many players in his position that they don't need him. I mean, regardless of whether or not, I don't understand why they would want him back.
but I think
Bellingham.
But they've also got a sell-on clause. Haven't they got a sell-on clause as well?
Yeah, which means
they got the same deal that they had with Richie.
Yeah, so it's going to be an immediate, like, it's going to be more expensive because everybody's going to want their pound of flesh, and that's going to push the price up.
Very interesting player, though.
In regards to Bissouma, I've heard this week he's been linked to West Ham. He's been linked to Marseille for much of the summer. And with Adrien Rabiot getting into a little bit of hot water at Marseille, there's a chance they might want him to take over there. So stuff could still happen.
I think he's more likely to stay in England because I read that he qualifies for British citizenship.
Oh, yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah. So he's more likely West Ham, I would say, and they really need players in that midfield.
They really need players. They absolutely
I wouldn't be too averse to a swap with Paqueta if we were playing Football Manager.
The other player we've been linked to recently is El Canous from Leicester, who of course Crystal Palace are interested in. And seeing as we're talking about Crystal Palace, we should probably talk about Eze. Austin posted in the week about letting people live rent-free in their head. Everybody is just letting Eberechi Eze just live rent-free in their heads for far too much. The guy chose to go to a different club. Okay, why are we so upset about this? Were we as upset when Archie Gray decided that he would turn down Brentford and come to us? No, we weren't. We were very happy that he did that. This is the way that football works. It's a fact of life when it comes to football. The guy is an Arsenal fan. He played for Arsenal when he was a kid. He wanted to go back to Arsenal. He said it's been his dream. They gave him the chance. Okay, he's gone. Let's move on. There are other players out there.
Well, I'm moving on, but I'm not forgetting that this is just another example of Levy fucking around until we lose a player. Steve Bruce, former manager of Aston Villa, who was the manager of Aston Villa when we tried to get Grealish.
Yeah.
Have you seen his words about how Levy went about trying to get Grealish back in the day?
I've not, but go ahead, tell me.
Well, exactly the same as Eze, just fuss-arsing around until so long that I think by the time we actually put in a meaningful bid, Aston Villa had money coming in from a new owner, and they decided not to sell him. This is, if we wouldn't be hearing all about how much Eze wanted to go to Arsenal if he'd come to us. We wouldn't.
Oh no, he'd be giving
we'd be
interviews about how he's
Gooners.
always wanted to come to us, and
absolutely. So
been a long time coming.
Arsenal went in for him because Havertz got
Eze was
injured.
actively contacting Arsenal players to try and get them to come in for him. So
Fine.
Don't blame Daniel Levy at all for this.
I definitely, well, I mean, we'll never know the ins and outs, and I'm very happy with the team as it is. And if Eze doesn't want to come, then he can fuck off. But Danny Levy, this is classic Danny Levy. And if we'd have gone in and got that done fast, we would have Eze today. I'm convinced, but of course, none of us know. Yeah.
And who would you have dropped yesterday for him?
I don't know. Have him on the bench. That'd be a good option.
It would not be an easy call, but then again, it's not my call to make. I think perhaps Sarr probably is the one who would drop out for that, because he is the player who was playing furthest forward and looking to be the one breaking the lines. I thought he did a really, really good job, and frankly, having seen how good he's been at the start of this season, I'm really not bothered about Eze. I'm really not. He's 27 years old. He costs £67.5 million. There's going to be no resale value. He could very well pick up an injury that, rules him out for the season. He's had injuries in the past, and he's not going to be immune to injuries in the future. Certainly being with them lot who pick up injuries quite a lot. So, I'm happy to move on. I'm more interested in seeing who we're going to have come to the club and want to play for Spurs. I'm not going to lose sleep over a player who calls himself an Arsenal fan and was picking up the phone and calling Mikel Arteta just after a deal was agreed with Tottenham and saying, "Oh, please come in for me." I'm not interested.
Too. I agree.
Sure.
Christ.
I'm not saying he's a dick. I'm just saying that. I know you are. But I'm not saying he's a dick. I can fully understand, because if I was given the chance of working for Arsenal or working for Tottenham, I'd be choosing Tottenham. Absolutely, because that's where my heart lies. So, can't really blame him, because we do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I doubt how sincere he was in coming to Spurs, if given that situation where he's an Arsenal guy. And he is an Arsenal guy. And so he used us to get that move, and there you go. He's up.
Yeah, but so was Defoe, and so was Bale.
So was Doherty.
Darren Bent.
Ginger Pele.
Darren Bent. No, not that Doherty, the other Doherty. Yeah. But I've seen people, saying, "Oh, he's as bad as Campbell." He's definitely not anywhere as bad as Campbell.
No way.
I mean, he's not in my top 3 of people that I seriously dislike for letting us down and not coming to us. I mean, right at the top, first of all, there's Campbell at the top.
Yeah.
Then you got Emmanuel Petit, who made us pay for his taxi fare over to go and do a medical at Arsenal. Then you got Willian, who did the same thing but for Chelsea, and you got Luis Diaz as well, who could have come to Tottenham but didn't. But he gets a little bit of an out because we got Dejan Kulusevski instead. So
I'm not.
He's not even.
I'm not annoyed with Eze. I'm not even particularly annoyed about Eze. I'm annoyed about our way of going about doing business.
That's fair.
Can I say
we did have a deal made, apparently. A deal was agreed.
Yeah.
I
just came in and took it over.
Business very, very well. And I'm a Daniel Levy apologist. I think when you look at the club when Alan Sugar had it, and when you look at the club now, and yes, he's made mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's completely without blemish. But Daniel Levy has dragged this club into the 21st century, and he's got us in a position where we can compete with the Emiratis that own Newcastle and Manchester City and the people that own Chelsea and Liverpool. Daniel Levy has got us here, and we've finally got a manager that I think will actually do something. Daniel Levy, in my book, is...
I'm pretty much a Danny Levy apologist, but that doesn't exempt him from any criticism. You know,
No,
Arch
I
just
know
said,
it's too
Arch
easy
just
to
said that.
criticise Daniel Levy. He gets too
Just said
much
that.
stick, in my opinion.
I think he gets a lot of stick. I don't think he gets quite enough credit for building up the club to where we are in terms of business level.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I have my issues with, we are still extremely bad at selling players. And a really good businessman would be able to get players out the door. You just look at what Chelsea have done. They've made £240 million worth of sales this season of players who are not even in their squad. You know, oh yeah, we'll just sell 24 million Chukwuemeka to Dortmund or something like that. We're not going to use him. We'll sell him, and they've made money on him. So if he was a superb football man, then we wouldn't have the holes in our squad that we've had, and we would be able to get players out easier. And frankly, we wouldn't have made some of the very poor mistakes in terms of purchasing that we've made. And we also wouldn't be flip-flopping between styles when bringing in managers, because we've gone from strict authoritarian to someone who lets them play in a laissez-faire manner to, oh no, but now we're going back to strict authoritarian, who make sure players cannot make mistakes, and flip-flopping all the time. And I think that's been the biggest issue with Levy, regardless of how well he's done with the stadium, and he's done brilliantly.
Yeah.
Stadium, training ground, all of those things. But how many times have we had a revolution of coaching staff or of player recruitment staff or medical staff? And that some of that has to be laid at his door.
For me, it's the missed opportunities.
Yeah.
We had opportunities with Poch, we had opportunities with Ange, we had opportunities. We have an opportunity now. If you keep making the same mistakes and not grabbing those opportunities, then I have a problem. And that's it. I don't deny everything else that he's done. It's been wonderful for us. But there are some specific issues that need to be addressed, and he needs to take responsibility for. Would Daniel Levy fire Daniel Levy? I think he would have, for the errors that he's made. If it was somebody else making those errors, I think they'd be out of a job.
Yeah.
But we have almost always had a player at the club who you can point to and go, that guy's extremely Tottenham, in terms of he plays the way we want him to play, and you know, a fantastic footballer right now. That's CADS,
Maddison.
It's Kulusevski, it's Maddison. Well, Maddison potentially, but when he's fit. But you go back in the past, we've had Modric, we've had Berbatov, we've had Bale. We've always had that kind of player. And I think part of that is down to Daniel Levy making sure that there is a star at the club who we can gravitate towards, but not giving them the backup that they want or deserve. And I think we just need to push the boat out just a little bit further and make sure that the manager's got the players he wants and feels prepared to go into a season or at the end of a transfer window fulfilled and ready to push on. And I still don't think we're there yet, even with us being second in the league right now.
In some respects,
small?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead. I'll speak afterwards. Fine.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, I think that going back to what Austin said, there's absolutely no doubt that Levy saved this club in some respects and has got us into an absolutely fantastic position. But I got called a football snob recently. We got into a situation where we're a top 4, top 6 club. We're a top club that we're expected to win things. And when we don't win things, we get strongly criticised. But I think Danny Levy, he still has the mentality of a lower half club trying to scratch together a good team. And until he kind of gets into his head, we're a big club now. Until he actually actions what he said in the closed season, we want to be challenging for the Premier League and we want to be challenging for the Champions League. He needs to action that in his way of getting players in. It's the time of trying to pick up a bargain and move them on for a profit. I mean, that's good business, but there has to be, in the kernel of the team, we have to go in and put the money on the table and get them in fast before things change, which is what's happened to us. That's all. Not anti-Levy.
I think you're
learn.
fair.
Yeah.
I'm in a similar boat, because you can't say you want to win the Champions League and be a challenger for the title, but you're letting your rivals pull further away in terms of their squad size and quality, and that's the issue. If everybody was standing still, this is fine, but seeing as though we've lost Maddison and Son, it's really 2 in, 2 out.
Yeah.
And whereas everybody else is strengthening like enormously in terms of the squad numbers and being able to put out teams with different players to keep them fresh and performing. So, you know, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Marcel, you've been quiet for a little bit. Come on, speak your mind.
I've just been looking at the circus. It's great.
Are David and I the clowns then?
I haven't interjected because there's pretty much people have been saying what is in my head anyway, so no real issues.
I'm just wondering whether David heard an extra syllable when, or consonant, sorry, when somebody called him a football snob. I think they might have just might have had an extra S in there. We'll see.
I'm definitely a no.
By the way, that was me, by the way.
Was it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely called him a football knob, did.
That's it.
Can I just say something?
In a private message.
We're top of the Premiership.
We're
just
second.
No, we're not second. We're joint
second.
top. We're joint
We're
top.
not. We're second on goal difference.
Are we?
Behind that lot.
Yeah, by 1 goal.
Because the Goons got given a penalty in injury time. Did anyone see that?
No.
Was that the Max Dowman one?
Didn't even touch him.
Oh no, he did. He did. It was a penalty.
No, if you look, there was a gap between them, and then he starts to go down, and he stuck his leg out against the defender and went down further.
He stepped on his toe first, which then, I mean, he did absolutely make sure that there was contact between the foot and the shin, but he stepped. The defender did step on his toe first.
Very soft penalty, as far as I'm concerned.
It was very soft, and I hate to talk highly of an Arsenal player, but that kid's going to be very good. He's a very impressive young player.
Yeah, but we've got the North London derby coming up, and
we do have the North London derby coming up.
I'm sure our captain will sort him out.
November 26th.
We do have another London derby before that. We got Bournemouth up next on Saturday the 30th. Then the international break, and that takes into a nice little run of West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, and Leeds. Brighton slightly worry me because they've been a little bit of a bogey side for us over the last few years, but they're not great at the moment. And I think if we go into that in good form and continue having this good mood in the camp, I think we could definitely pick up points there. We could very well be top of the table after 7 games. That would be lovely.
Isn't it? There will be a Champions League game thrown into those next 4, right?
There should be, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have Champions League draw, and then we'll see the fixtures organised after that. So I don't know exactly when they're supposed to filter in, but Champions League this year is difficult for me. I'm kind of prepared to just say, okay, look, concentrate on the league this year, and Champions League can be an also-ran appointment, an also-ran competition for us.
I'm just really enjoying watching us. I'm going to just say it again: win or lose, just putting up a good performance.
Absolutely.
This may be completely weird, but what do you think if Palhinha gets injured, that Romero could do that job?
Oh, we've had this conversation so many times.
This is all the last season.
Romero at the 6.
Yeah, we did 2 seasons ago on the podcast, moving him up there. We did.
I want our best player playing in his best position, which is centre back.
Same here. I really don't know what we do.
I think Archie Gray could step up.
You could.
Yeah.
I think they've been planning it. We've seen him play there, so hopefully.
I think this could be a really useful season for Archie Gray to learn from Palhinha.
Absolutely.
Learn some of those dark arts, learn some of the things that, in unusual situations, do unusual things. I don't know if you saw, but they had a very good chance towards the end of the game where Palhinha blocked it and it fell just behind it. And he actually connected with both ankles and it popped up in the air and just stopped them from getting a clean shot on the ball. And you're like, damn, that's some smart thinking. That was straight, that was quick. And that's just defensive instinct, just going, boom, I'm going to do this. And just that little movement stopped them getting a clean shot and probably saved us a goal as well. So if he can pass on some of that thinking, experience, and now the guy's 30 now.
But I think Also with Archie Gray, I think he's going to be put into more favourable situations this season as long as we can keep the injuries under control. So last season I think was really, really tough for him. He was playing, centre back a lot of the time, right back, left back. Then he finally got a chance in midfield, but he got his chance in midfield where basically we weren't training anymore and there was no tactics for the league matches. And he did look very ropey. And this time he's been put into, he played that Burnley match, and that was a good place for him to come into. And I think he looked pretty ropey the first half hour, but by half time he was starting to look like a proper midfielder. And if we can keep introducing him into that sort of situation, I think he'll be good. And we're still sleeping on Bergvall, who's a sensational player, and we haven't talked about him. Like where's he going to go? He can play just about anywhere up and down the midfield, funnily enough.
I think with Bentancur's resurgence in form, I think that's the only thing keeping him at the side.
Yeah.
And it might be a good thing. We've seen players come in and, do extremely well. Young players come in, they have an extremely bright start, and then they fall off a little bit. And young players are, by their nature, inconsistent. There are very few 18-year-old players that can come in and put in a brilliant game after game after game. Declan Rice is, probably the exception to that, which is why Arsenal paid, 100 million for him. So, Bergvall's going to need time to continue to grow, continue to grow as a player and a person, because he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
Still so young. Said it before, he's younger than Jamie Donnelly, who we keep sending out on loan so that he can mature playing against men's teams.
Yeah. But I just think these youngsters, I think they're hopefully going to be put into more favourable positions and they're going to be able to develop.
Yeah.
And that's great.
There was a stat someone else mentioned our starting 11 yesterday, because when you see with Palhinha, he's actually kind of tall. He's a bit of a unit. 9 of our 11 starters were 6 feet or taller, which obviously has to help with the physical aspect of our game. Great to see, because often we've been a bit smallish, shortish type thing. We've got some, apart from Kudus probably and Porro, 6 feet or taller.
Odobert's definitely less than 6 feet. So when he came on, starters. We've got decent height in the side, but we've also got decent technical ability as well. It's not just about being big lumps.
Size and technical, and that could
be a thing. We're not Stoke, despite the occasional long throw and.
Oh God, the long. Who was it that did that long throw yesterday? That was absolutely fucking useless. It was over on the left side of the pitch in the second half, and someone tried a long throw, and it just went looped up in the air. So it was terrible. Might have been Spence. Yeah, it was so bad.
Apparently, he got berated by Frank for that. So there you go. Good. Yeah, he's not just Mr. Nice Guy, which is also.
Well, Thomas Frank says he's falling in love with the club. I think there are certain, people very quickly falling in love with him as well. It's a great start. It's a fantastic start of the season for Tottenham Hotspur. And long may it go on. As I said, we've got Bournemouth up next on Saturday the 30th, which means we will be back the following day, the Sunday. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. And we will be back, of course, next time round. If you've got this far into the podcast, please like, subscribe, leave us a comment on Spotify, anywhere you like, YouTube, whatever. We're everywhere. We're doing our best to be found. So thank you for joining us as well. And until next time, everybody, come on, you Spurs.